tragedy. This message is for the astrology girls, spiritual girls, religious.
Influencer stabbed boyfriend 14 times and threw her 2 daughters out of moving vehicle for fear of eclipse. What drove an astrology influencer, a woman who built her brand on cosmic wisdom and spiritual guidance, to murder her boyfriend in cold blood, then commit an unthinkable act against her own children? Danielle Johnson, known to her followers as Danielle Ayoka, seemed to have it all: a devoted online community, a loving partner, 2 beautiful daughters. But beneath the curated posts and celestial predictions, something sinister was stirring. In the early hours of April 2024, Danielle stabbed Jaelen to death in their home. Then, she bundled her 2 daughters into her SUV and fled. But what would happen next was the most unthinkable thing a mother would do to her own children. Stick with me because we're about to uncover this mystery. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel as we go into this chilling story. Danielle Johnson seemed like she had the perfect life. To her followers online, she was Danielle Ayoka, a spiritual guide, a loving mother, a woman who believed in the stars. She posted about astrology, tarot cards, and finding peace. Her smile was warm. Her words were comforting. But behind the screen, something was very wrong. She lived in Los Angeles with her boyfriend, Jaelen, and their 2 daughters, a 9-year-old girl and a baby just 8 months old. Friends said Jaelen was a good man, kind and patient. He loved Danielle. He loved their children. But in April 2024, everything shattered. In the weeks before the tragedy, Danielle's posts changed. She talked about the end of the world. She feared the solar eclipse, believing it would bring something terrible. Her words were frantic, scared. Some thought it was just her spiritual beliefs. Others wondered if she was losing control. Then, one night, she did the unthinkable. Inside their home, she stabbed Jaelen to death. No fight. No warning. Just violence. And then she took her 2 little girls, got in her car, and drove away. What happened next was even worse. Why did she do what she did? No one will ever know for sure. But one thing is certain: the darkness swallowed a woman who spent her life searching for light. Danielle Johnson's relationship with Jaelen Chaney began like so many love stories do, full of hope, full of promise. They met in Los Angeles, a city where dreams are born every day. Jaelen was young, just 29 years old, with a quiet strength about him. Those who knew him said he was the kind of man who showed up, for his friends, for his family, for Danielle. He wasn't just her boyfriend, he was her rock. And when their first daughter was born, he became something even more: a father. Their little girl was everything to them. Bright, curious, with a smile that could light up a room. Danielle called her, "my little sage," a child wise beyond her years. Photos from that time show a happy family, Danielle beaming, Jaelen holding their daughter close, their home filled with laughter. But beneath the surface, storms were brewing. Danielle's online persona, Danielle Ayoka, was growing, her followers hanging on to her every word about astrology, destiny, and the universe. Yet the more her online world expanded, the more her real world seemed to strain under the weight of something darker. Then, in 2023, their second child was born, a baby girl, just 8 months old when the unthinkable happened. Friends say Danielle adored her children, but motherhood was not easy for her. The sleepless nights, the constant demands, the pressure to be perfect, it wore on her. Some say she struggled with postpartum depression, a silent battle so many mothers face alone. Others noticed she began to speak in riddles, her social media posts shifting from spiritual guidance to warnings about unseen dangers. She talked about eclipses like they were omens, about shadows that followed her. Jaelen stayed by her side, trying to help, trying to understand. But how do you fight an enemy you can't see? In the weeks before the tragedy, Danielle's fears spiraled. She left cryptic messages online, hinting at an apocalypse, at a reckoning only she could see coming. Jaelen, ever patient, ever loving, held their family together. He took care of the girls, made sure the household ran smoothly, all while watching the woman he loved slip further away. Did he know how bad it had gotten? Did he ever imagine it would end like this? On that terrible night in April, something inside Danielle snapped. The woman who once posted about love and light became someone unrecognizable. She took a knife. She took Jaelen's life. And then, in a final act of unimaginable horror, she took their children and fled. What was she thinking in those last moments? Was it rage? Was it fear? Or was it some twisted belief that she was saving them from a fate worse than death? We may never know. But what we do know is this: a man who loved his family died trying to protect them. A baby girl never got the chance to grow up. And a little girl, just 9 years old, will spend the rest of her life trying to understand why her mother left her on the side of a highway, broken and alone. Some stories don't have happy endings. Some stories leave us with nothing but questions. And some darkness is too deep for even the stars to light. The final days of Danielle Johnson's life played out like a horror movie in slow motion. Each hour brought her closer to the edge, each social media post a desperate cry for help no one truly heard. Let's walk through those terrible final days, minute by minute, post by post, to understand how a spiritual healer became a killer. 2 weeks before the murder, Danielle's Instagram stories took a dark turn. On March 28, she posted a solar eclipse chart with the caption, "The veil is thinning. Can you feel it?" Her followers thought it was just astrology talk. They didn't know she was spiraling. April 2nd. 3:17 a.m. A since-deleted Instagram live showed Danielle barefoot in her kitchen, whispering about shadow people watching her. Her eyes darted around the room. "They're coming for the children," she told her confused viewers. Jaelen could be heard off camera, gently trying to calm her down. April 5th. The eclipse she feared so much arrived. Danielle posted a video of herself sobbing, her face streaked with mascara. "It's begun," she wrote. That same night, neighbors reported hearing shouting from their apartment. When police did a welfare check, Danielle calmly answered the door, claiming everything was fine. The officers left, unaware they'd just looked into the eyes of a future killer. April 9th, the last normal day. Surveillance footage shows Danielle picking up her daughter from school, smiling, holding her baby close. That night, she made Jaelen's favorite dinner. Was this the calm before the storm, or was she already planning what came next? April 10th, the day everything ended. At 1:23 a.m., Danielle posted her final Instagram story, a black screen with white text, "Forgive me." 20 minutes later, at 1:43 a.m., the first 911 call came in. A neighbor reported screams from their apartment. But by the time police arrived, it was too late. Inside the quiet Woodland Hills apartment, Jaelen Chaney lay dead, stabbed multiple times in the chest. The murder weapon still lodged in his body. Blood splattered across the astrology books Danielle loved so much. And the children? Gone. Taken by their own mother into the night. The truth died with Danielle that night. But the questions remain: when exactly did she decide to kill her family? Was it planned for days, or was it a sudden moment of madness? And most haunting of all, in those final seconds before impact, did she regret what she'd done? Jaelen's body lay near the kitchen, his white t-shirt turned crimson. The knife still protruded from his chest, a chef's knife from their own kitchen set. His hands were raised in a defensive position, palms sliced open where he tried to grab the blade. He had fought for his life. And lost. Most chilling of all. The children's toys were neatly put away in the next room. Tiny shoes lined up by the door. A half-finished bottle of milk still warm on the counter. This wasn't a crime of passion during some violent argument. This was methodical. Calculated. The act of someone who had made a terrible decision and followed through. Detectives found disturbing clues about Danielle's state of mind. On the refrigerator, a child's drawing of their family was partially covered by a printout about the blood moon prophecy. The dining table held a spread of tarot cards, the death card prominently displayed, not as a metaphor for change, but as a literal omen. In the bedroom, police discovered black feathers arranged in a circle on the floor. A burning candle had recently been extinguished. And on Danielle's nightstand, a handwritten note in shaky script, "The stars showed me the only way out." Was this a suicide note? A confession? Or something even darker? But the most heartbreaking detail came from the children's room. 2 beds, one empty, the other with covers thrown back where a little girl had been pulled from sleep. On the pillow, a single strand of blonde hair. This was where Danielle had last seen her daughters before taking them on that final, fatal car ride. Forensic experts would later determine Jaelen had been stabbed 14 times. The first wound would have been fatal on its own. The other 13? That was rage. Or madness. Or whatever demon had taken hold of Danielle Johnson that night. As dawn broke over that terrible apartment, one detective stood in the blood-stained living room, looking at family photos still hanging perfectly straight on the walls. In one, Danielle smiled with her arms around Jaelen. In another, their daughters laughed on a beach. How does love turn to murder? How does a mother become a monster? The answers were driving away at that very moment, heading south on the 405 with 2 terrified children in the back seat. The 405 freeway was quiet that night. No one could have imagined the horror about to unfold at 70 miles per hour. Danielle Johnson's white SUV weaved through traffic, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. In the back seat, 2 children sat terrified. One just a baby, still in pajamas. The other, a 9-year-old girl clutching her stuffed rabbit, the last gift her father would ever give her. At exactly 2:06 a.m., a truck driver saw something that would haunt him forever. The SUV's rear passenger door suddenly swung open. A small figure tumbled out, arms flailing, a scream lost in the wind. Before anyone could react, a second tiny body followed. The trucker slammed his brakes, his rig screeching as he watched in horror. The baby, just 8 months old, was struck immediately by a passing sedan. The impact, no one should ever have to describe that sound. The older child hit the pavement hard, rolling across 3 lanes of traffic. Miraculously, she survived, crawling to the shoulder with a broken arm, her knees shredded, screaming for her mother who wasn't coming back. Drivers swerved, horns blared. One witness described seeing the little girl standing alone under a streetlight, her pink pajamas torn, staring at the taillights disappearing into the night, her mother's car driving away without her. Danielle never slowed down. Never looked back. Her SUV raced south toward Redondo Beach, now a speeding coffin on wheels. At 2:17 a.m., she approached a curve near the Artesia Boulevard exit. Footage shows her car accelerating, 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. No brake lights. No attempt to turn. That some imagined apocalypse would be worse than death. We'll never know for sure. Mental illness doesn't play by logic's rules. It twists. It lies. It can make a mother look at her child's face and see something else entirely. One detail haunts me most. That 8-month-old baby's hospital records show she'd had a checkup just 3 days before her death. Perfectly healthy. Normal. The doctor's note reads, "Mother appears tired but loving." There were no bruises. No signs of abuse. Just a woman who kissed her baby's forehead and said, "See you at home," never knowing home would soon become a crime scene. Perhaps the truth is too painful to hold all at once. That sometimes, love isn't enough. That sometimes, the mind breaks in ways we can't predict or prevent. That behind every unthinkable crime, there's usually not a monster, just a human being who got lost in the dark and couldn't find their way back. In the wreckage of this unimaginable tragedy, one light still flickers. A brave 9-year-old girl who survived the unthinkable. While we've focused on the horror of that night, let us now remember the most innocent victims. That little girl, whose name the world respectfully withholds, woke up yesterday morning asking for her baby sister. She doesn't know yet that she's the last remaining piece of a shattered family. A child who lost both parents in the cruelest way possible, one to violence, the other to madness. Doctors say her physical wounds will heal. The road rash. The broken arm. But what about the other scars? The memory of being pushed from a moving car. Of watching taillights disappear. Of waking up in a hospital surrounded by strangers instead of her family. This is the child who once sat on her mother's lap learning about constellations. Who played peekaboo with her baby sister. Who trusted that the world was safe. That trust was broken in ways no child should ever experience. She's now in the care of relatives. Surrounded by love, but also by unbearable questions. Why did mommy do this? Was it my fault? Could I have saved daddy? These are the ghosts that will haunt her childhood. The nightmares that will come in the dark. Yet despite everything, there's hope. Child psychologists confirm she's resilient. That she still laughs sometimes. That she remembers the good times too. And perhaps that's the greatest tragedy of all, that somewhere in her heart, she still loves the mother who betrayed her. As for the baby, her short life deserves remembrance too. 8 months of giggles and first foods and tiny hands grasping at the world. A life that ended violently, but which began, like all lives do, in love. Hospital records show Danielle was overjoyed at her birth. The last photo ever taken of them together shows the baby smiling in her mother's arms. How do we reconcile that image with what came after? Maybe we can't. Maybe some darknesses are too deep for understanding. This story forces us to confront painful truths, that mental illness can hide behind smiling Instagram posts. That the people we love can become strangers overnight. That sometimes, the systems meant to protect us fail. But it also shows us where hope lives, in the social worker reading that little girl bedtime stories. In the aunt learning to braid hair the way her sister used to. In all of us watching right now, our hearts broken but still beating with compassion. If this story has touched you, let it move you to action. Notice the people in your life who seem to be slipping away. Really listen when someone says they're not okay. Postpartum depression, psychosis, severe anxiety, these are not weaknesses. They're illnesses. And like any illness, they demand treatment. The National Maternal Mental Health Hotline is free, confidential, and available 24/7. That one call you make today could save a life tomorrow. To everyone watching. Especially those who've survived trauma, who've battled dark thoughts, who mother against all odds, you are not alone. Your story isn't over. And to that brave little girl out there somewhere, the world failed you once. We won't fail you again. Your life matters. Your future is worth fighting for. And though the night may seem endless right now, dawn always comes. If you think this story deserves to be heard, like and subscribe to our growing community. See you next time.